we end up living in these situations we don't really like for sometimes decades. So oftentimes when this happens, and we forget that they're changeable. We forget that they can be altered. We forget that they weren't necessarily always like that. And even if they were always like that, that there are other ways of being just by habit. And like anything else, just like drinking, just like using drugs, just like porn, just like anything, any other habits that may happen. The hardest initial part is that jostling that we have to give things to shift habits. That's the hardest part, right? It's like this, there's this curve of effort. So when you go to change a habit, the most effort. And then unfortunately, it's sort of sustained for a little while as you will yourself to do this new thing. But then gradually the amount of effort goes down until it gets back to that zero effort level, because now this is your new habit. And now it's going to take that amount of effort to change it again. So the reason I want to focus on this is this gets back to one of those things I talk about quite a bit, which is time is going to keep going for all of us. It's not stopping. If anybody has time machines, please, I'm begging you, there's some things I would like to change in the past. I would love some access whenever you are not using it. Time's going to keep marching forward. And I think a lot of us have become resigned to many of those habits that appear in our lives. And we just sort of hope that by chance things will get, and I'll just put better in air quotes, because we haven't exactly defined what better is. And there's not necessarily much we're actively doing right now to move it towards that. So we're just kind of hoping. We know we're not loving what's happening. We could like it, we could hate it, but we're not loving it, where it's not great. And we don't really know what to do about it. So we just kind of wait to see if it'll get better. The vast majority of the time it doesn't. It just stays the same or gets worse, unfortunately. So I think the thing that I want all of us, and this is kind of how we start, so it's really good full circle, is I want all of us to recognize that it's up to us. Nobody else is coming to save us. It might be unfortunate. It feels unfortunate. It's like that guy that I talked about earlier with the trust fund. It feels like if somebody just opened up a $5 million account that would just trickle out like $25,000 a month to us, we'd be really happy about it. But I'm telling you from experience, it would make you miserable, like really, really, really miserable. You would sit home, not do much, drink, maybe you travel for a little while because you have some money and you don't really need to earn anything. But then once you travel to like 15, 20 places a year, you go, God, I don't really want to travel anymore. Sit at home, but you wouldn't have to go to work, and it would just kind of be boring. And you'd watch all the Netflix and all the HBO Max and all the Apple TV and all the back catalog of movies. And then you'd be sitting there with nothing to do. And it would be hell. And it would continue until you moved and did something else. I've never met somebody with an unlimited amount of money where the money made them happy. Ever. It's never happened. So the same thing in relationships, right? If there's something that isn't going well, we have to jostle it. We have to play with it. I don't know what exact move will make it be what we want it to be. But I know that not making a move will certainly determine that it's not going to change. And so that's a window open, right? That's a crack in the window to say, hey, and then I want to leave what comes after the hey to you. I'm totally fine guiding it, but I don't want to put the words in your mouth. But it's this opportunity to say, remember that thing we were doing the other day? It brought something up for me, and I'd love to talk. And I understand that for a lot of men, that's a scary beginning to a conversation, but that's okay. That's not a bad thing, right? Maybe he's 100% happy, or maybe he's also resigned to, hey, this is what life is. It's fine. I don't hate it, but, and maybe there's something there for him. And maybe by just talking about it, where we haven't talked about it in a very, very long time, we can kind of jostle things a little bit and, get a little more energy into this and find opportunities for these tiny little incremental shifts that will move you in a new direction.